we're going to get on to your games. Your first one is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Which talk about like bringing yourself into it and representation and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you started playing it at like 8 years old.
That is correct. So when I was a little girl, my awesome, perfect brother, Anish.
Always love a brother.
Oh, I can't say enough about him, about how amazing he is. But he gifted me the D&D basic set. Back when it was called the basic set, and I devoured it. You know, I took the little crayon and filled in the dice, and then I did the little adventure that you could take yourself through, and I was hooked. It was this wonderful combination of like reading a story, but also telling a story, and then being a part of that story. And all of those things were things that I already kind of wanted to do when I was a little kid. I mean, age 6, I was like writing plays for us to do in class. So I was very much wanting to be some form of a storyteller, even back then. So I devoured that. Then I totally absconded with his AD&D books and read them all cover to cover, and then started incorporating what I was learning from this world into all sorts of aspects of my life. So I did a history report on medieval weaponry that I had learned from D&D, and I won the 4th grade spelling bee because no one else knew how to spell vengeance, and
oh my gosh,
like all sorts of things where it just started to trickle into everything I was doing. Now looking back, one of the things that I think really drew me to it, and one of the things I have to thank for my sense of belonging when I was growing up, is this game. And, you know, I grew up as a little Indian girl in a predominantly Caucasian area of Southern California, and it would have been very easy for me to feel like I didn't fit in. It would have been very easy for me to feel like there wasn't a place for me. And I know a lot of people who have had that experience who grew up around where I did. But for me, I was introduced to this game at such a young age where literally you have a seat at the table. Literally, every person is creating a character that is a completely different set of characteristics, both in appearance and in terms of what they can do and what they're studying. And every single one of them has a chance to win the game for the party. Not even win the game, but to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, because D&D is not so much about winning. That's not what you're playing for. It's not like, yay, I won D&D. But that collaboration and that sense of belonging definitely gave me a sense that, yes, I was other, but I wasn't othered. I wasn't made to feel like I didn't fit in. And look, on the playground, I may have had something different happening. In class, I might have had something different happening. But because there was this foundation that I was experiencing with my friends, with my beautiful brother, like sharing this with me and us sharing it together, I think there was just a place where I could go, where I knew I, as a little Indian halfling, you know, could be the hero and could save the day. And so from a very young age, I think it became a part of who I was in a way that I didn't really clock until decades later.
Hey, thank you so much for checking into this episode of The Games That Made Me. We're a small channel working hard to grow, and we love your support. If you could hit that subscribe button and give us a like, we'd really appreciate it. The more support we have from you all, the bigger the guests we can get on the show. Now, back to the episode. What was it like to be a part of a chapter of Critical Role as well?
You know, thankfully, and I feel this way about a lot of experiences that I had in my career previous to this, whether in TV or in theater or whatever. Thankfully, I did not fully understand the massive juggernaut of Critical Role when I first connected with Matt and Marisha as friends. And so when they were like, hey, you want to come play a game on Critical Role? And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And then obviously you're like, oh, it's that. And again, you'll see a trend in my career of like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be this. Phew, thank God I didn't know, because I might have put a lot of pressure on myself. But in this case, it was just hang out with some friends and play a game and play a game where everyone at the table has sort of the same commitment to the story that I want to have in a game. I talk about this a lot, that I take my fun very seriously, and I don't take myself seriously. but I take the fun seriously. And to me, the fun is that commitment to sharing and building a world and sharing in this creation of a story that even a writer's room wouldn't have come up with. But because of the magic of the dice and improvising and working together, it suddenly becomes this beautiful, beautiful thing. And yes, you're silly at the table and all of that too. So it can be very serious. It can go from like tragic to comedic to tragic to comedic. So yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been such a joy to watch all of them. They are all such extraordinary people in their own right. And together they are such a North Star for just how to be in the world and how to take care of your friends and how to take care of your community and how to use your creative powers for the powers of good. I'm just constantly in awe and constantly rooting for them and loving what they're doing in the world. So I'm just very grateful that, you know, my dear friends also happen to be ballers who are using their superpowers for the powers of good. Like that's the only way to be in the world as far as I'm concerned.
I still remember when it was just a Twitter post where they're just like, we're playing D&D tonight and look at all of us together. Huh? And it's just kind of like to see it build up and to see it, become that collaborative. It's a collaborative experience. And I think that must be such a joy to be a part of. It is also such a joy for the community to watch.
Yeah, it's really special. And not just Critical Role. Like now there's so many other, like Dimension 20 is it has a completely different feel, but such an incredible group of people. And you see how both of these companies have their unique ways of doing things, even though other people might compare the two. There's no sense in that. And this is one of the biggest reasons I love the TTRPG community and the industry that is starting to burgeon around it, is that in no other medium do you see companies supporting each other. You don't see Sony and Paramount going, hey, let's do a movie together. And we're like, swap executives and we'll swap leading men and leading ladies. No, it feels very competitive in the market. Whereas, you know, Brennan's going on Critical Role and Matt's going on Dimension 20 and everybody's trying to lift up other creators and introduce new creators to the space with their shows. You know, it's very much a microcosm of how I want the world to be.
You actually got to do one with Sam Bayer, who we've had on the show, and also Neil Newbon.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite moment from that session? Because, I mean, like, you came out full glam. Like, your entrance was phenomenal.
Thank you. Honestly, I had I was going to say I had one goal, but I think as a character, I think there were two things I wanted to focus on top of like, let's make sure the audience has a great time. One was just keep up, because you may be the straight man, so to speak, in a sea of comedy, and that's a relatively hard thing to make entertaining if you're not careful. So I really wanted to do that, and let's not forget that Abria was the DM, which means already it's going to be like, this one's going to 11. Like it's already going to be sensational.
Her so much.
No, it's playing with her is
she's so good.
Like she's already the chaos agent in the game when she's playing.
Yeah.
But as a DM, you just know you're up for a wild ride. But I also wanted to, knowing that they were going to be playing their characters from the game, and knowing Neil's character being, you know, very secure in himself and his sexuality, and very forward, and usually is the one making other people potentially uncomfortable before he seduces them.
A little bit thirsty.
I very much wanted to play a character who could meet him where he was, so that we would have some kind of a tension going on there, and it wouldn't necessarily just be all about one aspect of the story. Not that he would ever do that as an actor, but, you know, let's face it, that's a kind of character that takes the space. And so finding a way to be like, cool, how are we all going to move our levels of anything around in order to make sure this story is enjoyed for the audience, and it's not just one character taking charge and going forward.
Yeah, because it doesn't work that way. Like it just, if it is imbalanced, it's not. You can feel it. You can feel the imbalance.
Yeah, and especially if you're playing like, when you're playing at a live event like that in front of an audience of people who are also players and DMs, you want to be an example of something, some aspect of playing that they can take home with them, right? And in home games, if there is someone, at least from my seeing it, if there is someone who's just taking it over and going forward, everybody else kind of recedes into smallness, rather than like okay, now this work, that collaborative energy is the magic of the game. And it's one of the reasons, again, if you're watching Critical Role or you're watching Dimension 20, they are masters of understanding, okay, at this moment, I'm going to be the storyteller, but at this moment, I want to make sure that person has the space to be able to tell their story. So I'm going to serve up this question or this action, or I'm going to create this conflict or whatever. There's sort of like I don't think you need to talk about it when you know how to do it. And I think that also comes from being in a storytelling field, whether it's voice acting and animation or game performance in general with mocap or TV or film or theater. And all of them have backgrounds in more than just quote unquote voice acting, which I also wish people would just call acting, because we all have voices, but we all have to be actors first.
Yeah.
So you want to have people take home that understanding that this needs to be, it doesn't need to always be balanced, because that's boring, but there should be this wave of give and take, because that's when whatever it's going to culminate in is a victory for everyone. And that's so exciting, and that's so satisfying at the end of that adventure when that happens, right? So satisfying.